Hey y'all, as many of you know, I am from North Carolina. Now, what you may not know is what a barbecue fanatic I am. My family's been in the Carolinas and Virginia since at least the 1600s. They sold property to George Washington. My family's been cooking barbecue since at least the 1700s. Washington, in his diaries, wrote that he had attended a barbecue. It was either southeastern Virginia or northeastern North Carolina, and it was such a spread, and there was so much pork and so much homemade liquor that he had to do penance afterwards. My, I guess, great uncle, could be great great uncle, had a whole chain of barbecue joints. I mean, we know pork. I mean, that is an understatement. I am what you call a barbecue purist. Now, in my house, and what goes into my stomach, is only pork that's been smoked over live hardwood coals. Never any gas, never any electric. It is not roast pork. Pork shoulders are what we normally use, unless it's going to be a big gathering. You can use a pork shoulder or a pork butt. Put that over hickory and oak coals, or just hickory if that's all you got. You can use hardwood lump charcoal, which I'm going to use today. I'm going to show you how to do that along with wood chips. And that pork shoulder will cook for 10 hours. 10 hours you have to sit by the pit, low and slow. Don't let it get over 200 degrees. All right, how do you judge that? Well, you can use a thermometer, or you can do what we do in my family, which is just lay your hand on the pit. If it's too hot to hold it there for about 10 seconds, it's too hot. If you are going to have a pig picking, get a whole hog. Whole hog goes for 20 hours, 24 even, but 20 hours is what you want to do a whole hog. You put it on both the pork shoulder and the whole hog, put it on for half the cook time, turn it over, cook it on the other side. Take it off, or let the fire go out and get a couple hours sleep. Let it cool down, let it rest. Then you take it. If it's a whole hog, you're pulling it off in big old chunks. That's where we get the name pig picking from. If it is a gathering, you can just lay it out there and people grab a chunk of whatever they like, whatever their favorite piece is. This is when in pork we talk about light and dark meat, because the loins will be nice and light and the shoulders and hams will be dark. Kind of confuses people that aren't from here. But if it's a pork butt or a pork shoulder, take it, pull the bone out, pull off big chunks of meat, chop it up with a cleaver. That simple. Now you have barbecue. All that went on that meat is salt. All you do is take your meat and salt it and smoke it. And that's barbecue. Now, Eastern North Carolina sauce is my favorite sauce. It's what I grew up on. It's what my family's been using for hundreds of years. If you go back to the annals of barbecue sauce, it was originally apple cider vinegar mixed with oyster liquor. Oyster liquor would give it the salt and a nice richness. Now we just use, my favorite brand is Scott's, or I'll make my own apple cider vinegar, bring it up to a simmer, cut it with a little water so it's not too strong in acidity. I usually add to that salt and pepper and cayenne pepper. Now, you can put a little sugar in there if you like. Scott's has a little sugar, it doesn't bother me, but it is not sweet. It's also not strongly acidic. It's not going to burn your mouth. It's just right. You can absolutely put in crushed red pepper. You can put in, like I said, salt and black pepper. You can put in anything you like. A little garlic powder is just fine. A little onion powder if you like. That's not necessarily traditional until you get into South Carolina. You take that sauce and use it as is. Now, if you want, you can do a Western North Carolina sauce. Use that same base. This is what you would get west of Raleigh, really from Charlotte all the way into the mountains. Lexington especially, and add a little ketchup or tomato paste. Now, in Lexington, they tend to make it a little sweeter. Some people even put cheerwine in their sauce, which is an abomination. Do not do that. Really, it should not be a sweet sauce, and anywhere east of Raleigh, it should have no tomato product in it whatsoever. Now, it's up to you if you want to add a little tomato to it. I absolutely do not. I'm going to use Scott's sauce. I'm going to chop the meat. I'm going to sauce it. I'm going to serve it with baked beans and coleslaw. And I'll show you when it comes off the pit. I'll probably do this video in 3 parts. This is the intro. After 5 hours, I'm going to flip the pork shoulder, and I'll show you the pork shoulder at that point, how it's starting to take on smoke. When we start, we put the skin side down so that the heat starts to melt the fat. When we turn it over, the fat renders and it soaks into the meat and moisturizes the meat. If you want to do a South Carolina sauce, take that same sauce base. Now this is more Charleston style, add a little mustard. That's up to you. It's not my thing. I don't mind it. It's actually pretty good sometimes. But for traditional Eastern North Carolina sauce, it has little if any sugar and absolutely no tomato product. This is the original barbecue of the United States. How do we know that? Well, there happens to be a little island off the coast of North Carolina, about 100 miles or so. It's Bermuda. And when the English and Irish and all the settlers, the French and even the Spanish started coming there, they learned from the natives a style of cooking called barbacoa. Barbacoa became barbecue. And it started in North Carolina, because basically due west of that island is Wilmington. It started in southeastern Virginia around Chesapeake. It started in northeastern South Carolina around Georgetown, but especially North Carolina. Now, I'm going to show you how to make barbecue when you're away from home. Real traditional North Carolina style barbecue, the real deal, not the fake crap, not the stuff you get from any restaurant basically, because we don't have many real wood burners anymore. And those that we have tend to be kind of trendy around Chapel Hill and Asheville. And there are a couple of really good ones. I don't want to say there aren't really good ones, but most of them learned to cook barbecue from the Food Network. They did not learn to cook barbecue from their ancestors, and it really shows. So I'm away from home. I'm at a relative's house down in Pinehurst. So when I get up and move the camera, you're just going to see tons of pine trees. That's what Pinehurst is named for. Couldn't dig a pit in my relative's yard. That's the most traditional. You literally just dig a pit, light a fire, let it burn down. You can lay some rebar across it. You can lay some grate across it. Anything. They used to use just, basically green wood to make a grate. And then you cover it with a piece of tin. That's the traditional way of doing it. Or you can make one out of brick, or you can make one out of cinder block, or you can do whatever. Well, I'm at my relative's house, and I can't go messing up the yard. So here's what I did. I actually started doing this a couple years ago. I got a little tiny Coleman grill. One of those just, little ones you would use like for tailgating or something. And, of course, it's not big enough to hold a pork shoulder, and you got to be able to access the coals. So let me set the camera here, and I'll see if I can focus it on this little smoker. Let's see, I've got a lot of sunlight here and very little shade. Okay, I think we're on camera. All right, this is my little smoker. This piece right here is a donut from an old Volvo. This is your little spare tire. I cut the tire off of it, and I made it so it would be deep enough to hold the pork butt. Now I can lift this off, and I can get right here to my coals. You see, they're going right here. They're not too hot. I can put my hand right in here, no problem. That's good. On top of the coals, probably 250. All right. Then I sit it back on, and I lift the lid off. I've got a little tin foil just going across the top. This has only been on about an hour. And we've got a beautiful pork shoulder, just so slowly smoking. I have probably made 100 pounds of barbecue, if not 200, plus smoking Thanksgiving turkeys on this pit since I put this together about 5 years ago. Yeah, it actually works. All right, as far as fuel, I'll lay that right there, put this back over, and she's just going to keep gently smoking. As far as fuel, I have lump hardwood coal. Do not use briquettes. If you use briquettes, your barbecue will end up tasting like burnt rubber, because that's essentially what they're made out of. All right, hardwood chunks. And for wood chips, went down to the grocery store, bought some hickory chips. There we go. Hickory chips. Every 30 minutes, I'm going to take this, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to put some chips down and make sure it has enough coal. I'm going to sit here for another 9.5 hours, so 8.5 hours at this point. And like I said, at the 5-hour mark, I'll give you an update. So y'all, wherever you are, you can make real North Carolina barbecue. You do not have to go to Smithfield or any other fake barbecue restaurant and buy your barbecue. You can make it wherever you are, whether you dig a pit, whether you cut fresh wood, whether you burn down your own coals, or you do it just like I did. It's that easy. It just takes time. And in the time lies the flavor. So this is part 1. I will see you again in about 3.5 hours.